The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, increasingly finds himself visiting various Middle Eastern nations. A day or two ago, it was Turkey, and today it is Damascus, Syria. And his movement around this region does show how leaders are now looking forward into a world where collaboration is very important to have an upper edge regarding various confrontations. I want to ask Norman Floyd, how do you see the leader of Ukraine? Of course, when Donald Trump took to House in his second term, Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky was more or less bullied in the White House. And today, if you look in contrast, 4.5 years as it approaches the Ukraine-Russia conflict, eastern Ukraine and its citizens have defected themselves. Some have defected into being called Russians. So I want to know from Norman, how do you see the movement of Volodymyr Zelensky in this new perspective in the Middle East as well? Norman.
Yes, the president of Ukraine, he's a survival person. He sees the, let's just say, the tea leaves. He understands that the United States support is questionable. Its continued involvement is questionable. So the situation by diverting his support, the United States support to their war, he noticed now that that support has now shifted towards Israel and its mission towards Iran. So he is now looking at other countries to get established credibility, try to get funds and economic support so he can continue his battle with Russia and provide support for Europe and other countries. So basically, he's trying to basically call fundraise for his cause and the endless war to deal with that, to stave and to put off Russia. His presentation is basically stating that if we fail, Europe fails. So you must support us in order to protect yourself. You're noticing the United States is now backing off of Europe. They just mentioned about NATO. They're talking about other things. They have a new agenda about the Western Hemisphere. All indications is that the future of the U.S. direct involvement in Europe is going to somehow shift. They'll still be connected, friendly as an allies, but their support and actual involvement is going to shift towards the interests of the United States, which is now not Europe-based. So
not Europe-based.
They are looking like other countries have to figure out an alternatives. He is understanding that he has to do something for himself and not depend on the U.S. dollars, Congress, and it's particularly this current administration. Yes, he has friends in the United States. Yes, he's getting support from Congress, but the current administration is diverting their funds to other things, as we say, make America great again, and the agenda of the current administration. That agenda do not include Ukraine. So he has to look for other means to support his action to preserve his country and to stave off Russia's pressure on taking over the country. So what you're seeing is that, just that. He's looking for other alternatives, knowing that the United States is not going to provide an endless line of support for them.
We know very slightly that the Nord Stream pipeline has been blown right before this Ukrainian and Russian aggression that we've seen for the last 4 years. This important pipeline would connect Russia's gas exports towards Europe and various European nations. We still do not know. There's an international investigation into wanting to find out who were responsible for blowing up this pipeline. Of course, once again, war, economics, aggression, and the currencies. This all coming back in a very similar pattern when you look at Iran as well as Israel and the US. So I want to ask you, energy dependency, energy scarcity, these two contrasts are now playing into global geopolitical conflicts around the globe. And not only so, another question I might add, that when the US president gives the order to capture the sovereign state of another nation, that actually opens up the roadway, the roadmap to a worldwide escalation, worldwide conflict. I want to get your ending statements regarding the ones that I've picked up. Norman.
Yes, as we see, the trend is showing that what matters in regards to the world is basically who controls the water, food, shelter, and then energy sources. That's it. Who controls that? So, as of the situation with Venezuela, the U.S. taking over Venezuela swiftly and challenging the sovereignty, other countries are looking at, hey, that could happen to me too. I don't know. So we're gonna have to do something to ensure that we can protect ourselves. So the alternatives are now is that, hey, we need to shore up our military, our resources, and our energy sources. So, we can't afford not to have food. We can't afford anybody to control our water sources, and definitely the energy. The energy is very important as we see the oil rules the world right now. And the shelters basically a superior military, a superior country may come in and bomb our infrastructure, deal with our infrastructure. So how do we deal with that? So we have to look at alternatives. And the BRICS nations are putting up a compelling resume to show that that they uh, can ensure that you have your infrastructure there. China is basically they build infrastructure, global infrastructure. So the countries of the BRIC, they're looking at their own economy, so that you can ensure that the food, and then also China and Russia has military sources that can help the BRIC nations. These are all contrasts to what is happening now with the petrodollar in the United States. So the change is coming. The alternatives, they are looking at other things outside of dependency on the United States. And right now, as the United States is trending towards a new frontier, how they want to deal with things, how they want to do business, alternatives have to be in place.
Right.
People have to understand that I may not be able to afford what the United States is offering, but I can afford what the Chinese is offering. So do I have a relationship with both, or do I just go on one side? So I think the issues we have in here in the States is basic. The United States and the Western world wants everything to be Western. You
Right.
depend on us, we do everything, we have to control everything.
Right.
But the situation has now created, because of our power and sources, we do not have the stranglehold over people, and people understand that they have to look at alternatives. And so that's where we're right now. So we're looking at a trend change and a
Right.
change to a new multipolar world.
Of
So
course.
that is what's happening now. The shift. It's a shift. I'm not saying we're going to quit one, but we need alternative. Maybe I can afford it and we have a relationship, but maybe I can't. So we still have to live another day.